me, in about 20 minutes or so as we look at the Jaguars and the Eagles Sunday up in Philadelphia. Coming up later on towards 9 o'clock, Justin Barney of Channel 4. No high school football this week, but we are at the midway point of the high school football season, so we will certainly take a look at what is going on the high school football gridiron here at the halfway point of the year. 9:15, we'll go to Tallahassee. Kurt Weiler, the Osceola, as the Seminoles get ready for Wake Forest, a big one in the ACC on Saturday. Florida State looking to go to 5-0 on the year. Whew, what a start for Mike Norvell and the Seminoles. And at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, Doug Kyed, who covers the National Football League for Pro Football Focus. You guys know how I feel about PFF. I love that website. I love crunching the numbers, and we'll do that with one of their national NFL writers, Doug Kyed. That's coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. But as we always do here on Hacker After Dark, we kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
It is a very big deal. Sunday, 1 o'clock, the city of brotherly love, the Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the marquee games in the NFL this week. I mean, obviously, all eyes pointing towards Kansas City and Tampa Bay, right? Mahomes and Brady. That's obviously a big one. But you look at the 1 o'clock games, there's not a lot bigger than Jaguars-Eagles up in Philadelphia. And the Jaguars have gotten off to a great start. Absolutely terrific start. But what was one of the things we said coming into the year? One of the concerns that at least I had. And that was the health of this football team. All right? We said that if the Jaguars can stay healthy, they can compete with a lot of teams in this league. The problem potentially could be if you start getting some injuries. And the Jaguars to this point have been very, very fortunate, very lucky when it comes to the injury front. Look, Shaq Griffin didn't play last week. He was the first starter that officially missed a game this year. And the Jaguars didn't miss a beat. Trey Herndon went in there, played well. Hopefully Shaq Griffin gets back in the lineup this week. I know that he's probably going to be questionable going into Sunday. But what I don't like, and what gives me cause for concern, is what happened earlier today. When the Jaguars released their injury report, if you haven't seen it, Zay Jones appeared on it. Did not practice today with, I believe, an ankle injury. Which obviously had to happen in practice, right? Because he was not on the injury report yesterday, and today it's a did not practice with an ankle. Very similar to Shaq Griffin last week. Last Wednesday, Shaq Griffin was not on that injury report. On Thursday, he was, and he ultimately missed the game on Sunday. Zay Jones is a huge part of the Jaguar offense. He leads the team in catches with 19. Heck, he had 10 for 85 and a touchdown in the win over the Chargers. But not only is Zay Jones a big part of the offense, herein lies the problem with the depth, all right? You're not practicing on a Thursday. That's not a good omen. That's not a good sign for Sunday's game. So if Zay Jones can't go, what does that leave you at wide receiver? Well, Christian Kirk, obviously. Marvin Jones, obviously. Probably see some more Jamal Agnew. And then you're going to have to see between a guy like Tim Jones and a guy like Cedric Pryor, who the Jaguars picked up at the end of training camp off waivers from Cincinnati. But those are your options right now, your in-house options, if Zay Jones can't go. Jamal Agnew, Tim Jones, Cedric Pryor. That's kind of what I'm talking about when you talk about the lack of depth at certain positions. Health-wise, if Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are both healthy, which they have been for the first 3 games, I think those guys combined for 37 grabs so far this year. Let's see, 185 for Joe. I think it's one, you're talking roughly 150 yards, basically, between Zay Jones and Christian Kirk on 37 grabs, 4 touchdowns. They've been good. They've been really good. But when the depth of this football team begins to get tested, that's going to be another learning curve for the Jaguars. Again, you're going to be counting an awful lot on guys that have never caught passes in the NFL. And Tim Jones and or Cedric Pryor if Zay Jones can't go. What does that mean for a Jamal Agnew? Look, there was times last year, there was a 2 or 3 game stretch last year where Jamal Agnew was phenomenal. And then he had the hip injury, and that cost him the year, and he really hasn't gotten involved very much in the offense to this point. I think he had 1 catch for 17 yards on Sunday against the Chargers. He's the intriguing one to me. And I guess Tim Jones to an extent. Obviously, Tim Jones won a job on this roster by having an unbelievable preseason and an unbelievable training camp. Hopefully, Zay Jones gets healthy and is able to play on Sunday. But the fact that he was not on the report yesterday, the fact that he is on the report today as a did not practice on Thursday is usually not a good sign. So we're going to start seeing this depth on the Jaguars begin to get tested. By the way, Philadelphia's got their own injury concerns. Not necessarily injury-related, but A.J. Brown had missed yesterday and today for what was described as personal reasons up in Philadelphia. Devonta Smith was limited today in practice. So Philadelphia, I would expect both of those guys to play, but it's not as if they've had a full, healthy week of practice either. A.J. Brown hasn't practiced at all. Devonta Smith has been limited. So you're getting to the point of the year where everybody's going to be banged up. Everybody's going to be hurt. It's just an issue of, can you stay above the curve? Can you only have the nicks and the bruises instead of the long, either season-ending injuries or month to 2 month long issues? So the Jaguars getting ready to go to Philadelphia. Devin Lloyd gets honored today. You guys see this? Devin Lloyd named the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month for the month of September. He's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And he's been fantastic without really practicing at training camp at all. You want to talk about learning on the fly? Devin Lloyd has learned on the fly. He got in for, a quarter and a half in the final preseason game against Atlanta. Quite frankly, I didn't think he was all that good against Washington. Had a lot of tackles, but there was reasoning for that. But against Indianapolis and against the Chargers, he's been one of the best defensive guys out there. You want to talk about picking up very quickly on the game of the NFL. Devin Lloyd has done that. I told you guys earlier this week how jealous I was back in the day when Tennessee drafted Keith Bulluck at linebacker, because you just knew that guy was going to be a problem for the next 10 years. When Indianapolis got Darius, now Shaquille Leonard, at linebacker a couple of years ago, you just knew that guy was going to be a stud, right? Jacksonville has one of those now. Devin Lloyd is going to be that type of player. Devin Lloyd is going to be one of the best linebackers in this league for a long time. And he's going to be a Jaguar for a long time. And it is very exciting. In his first month in the NFL, he gets NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month. So congratulations to Devin Lloyd. Speaking of Devin Lloyd, we did this last night with the free agents. 3 games in. What about the rookie class? It's not a lot of guys that are getting significant time. There's really 4 guys, well, really 3. I'm going to include Muma here because he plays on special teams. So 4 guys in the draft class that are getting significant time in these first few games. Chad Muma had a good preseason. Chad Muma had a good training camp. Chad Muma is a good special teams player. Obviously, it's going to be hard for him to get on the field right now because of how well Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun are playing. But for a 3rd-round pick, if something were to happen at the linebacking position, it's nice to know that you have a guy like Chad Muma that can come in. because I thought he was good in the preseason, and he's been good on special teams to this point. The other three rookies are huge parts of this football team. Luke Fortner doesn't get a lot of love because he's the center. You're not going to focus on the center, right? But how many guys come right in out of college, particularly guys that are not drafted in the first round, and start opening day from center? Not many, man. Not many. Luke Fortner has come in here, and it wasn't even a question. There wasn't even really a competition there. And I'll tell you guys the same thing. You probably get tired of me saying it, but it's how I feel about offensive linemen. If I don't notice you, you're probably playing well. Because you follow the football, right? That's why we notice Trevor and Etienne and Kirk and Jones and Ingram. You follow the ball. Once the ball is snapped, you don't care about the center anymore unless he's committing penalties or giving up sacks. And Luke Fortner is not doing either one. He's not giving up sacks, and he's not committing penalties. And he's getting better as the games go on. So Luke Fortner as a rookie, thumbs up, man. Thumbs up in a big way. And then what do you say about the two defensive guys? Devin Lloyd, Defensive Rookie of the Month already. Trayvon Walker, look, I don't care what Aiden Hutchinson's doing in Detroit. I really don't. He had the one big game where he had 3 sacks. One of which, watching that game, Carson Wentz basically ran right into him. But whatever, he had 3 sacks. It's a hell of a game. Trayvon Walker is all over the field. He is a disruptive force. Again, he's not going to get credit for a lot of these. You know why Rashawn Jenkins had that pick against Indianapolis in week 2? Trayvon Walker. He was bearing down on Matt Ryan. Ryan had to throw it too early, and Rashawn Jenkins was there to make the pick. Trayvon Walker will not get credit for that on the stat sheet, but he is the reason that interception happened. You look in the game against the Chargers. Trayvon Walker was all over the place. Even backing into coverage to knock a pass down at 6'5", 270 some odd pounds. Affects the quarterback. There's 3 or 4 times a game he's gotten a big paw on the quarterback, just has not been able to bring him down yet. Sacks will come, but don't look at the sacks. Look at the disruptiveness of Trayvon Walker's game. I am over the moon about what the Jaguars have gotten out of Walker, Lloyd, and Fortner here in the first month of the season. Over the moon. You combine those guys with the free agents that we talked about last night, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Brandon Scherff, Foye Oluokun, Fatukasi. It's been an absolutely terrific start to the year for the new guys. Tomorrow night, I want to talk about the old guard and how they're performing. Guys that have been here for a few years now. Josh Allen, DeJuan Smoot, James Robinson, on down the line. I think we spend so much time on the new guys, with the exception of Josh Allen and probably James Robinson. How are the other guys doing that have been here for a little while? Trey Herndons, Chris Claybrooks, Shaq Quarterman, Jawan Taylor, Cam Robinson. We'll get into those guys tomorrow. 2-1 Jacksonville goes to 3-0 Philadelphia. 1 o'clock on Sunday. Of course, you'll get that game right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. By the way, while we're on it, Trevor Lawrence, I saw this earlier on CBS Sports, and they had a story as well on Pro Football Focus, comparing the class of 2021 quarterbacks. I'm guilty. I'm guilty as charged last year. And at the time, I was right. I will defend that. At the time, I was right. When I say Mac Jones was having a better rookie year than Trevor Lawrence, he was. Mac Jones took the Patriots to the playoffs, or was at least a reason they went to the playoffs. But right now, in year number 2, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, I mean, what do you say? They can't stay healthy. I think Zach Wilson's actually coming back this week. Justin Fields, I cannot believe Chicago's 2-1. I can't believe it. That team's terrible. With all due respect to Taylor Dahl, one of the biggest Chicago Bears fans I know, she would probably even tell you, that offense is putrid. I can't believe Chicago's 2-1. But they are. Fields is certainly better with his legs than he is with his arm right now. Mac Jones, high ankle sprain, is going to miss some time. Wasn't playing great anyway. And then Trevor, who is arguably, now what, among the top, certainly 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe among the top 12 quarterbacks in the NFL. That might be an interesting exercise 3 weeks in. How many quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe we'll start in the AFC, would you take over Trevor Lawrence right now? But Trevor Lawrence compared to Fields, Lance, Wilson, and Mac Jones, it's night and day. Night and day how much better Trevor is right now than his guys in 2021. 641-1010 is the phone number, Jacksonville. If you want to get involved in the program, you are more than welcome to do so. They are underway on Thursday Night Football, Cincinnati and Miami. Cincinnati, the ball first. Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase for about a gain of 8 to kick it off. Bengals have the ball, their own 33-yard line. We will certainly keep you updated, Miami and Cincinnati. Coming up next, my friend Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every day on XL Primetime, and you get him every Thursday here on Hacker After Dark. Jacksonville, it's a Thursday night. We're glad you're with us. We roll on here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Leon Searcy coming up next.
Could that actually be the football?
Fridays in the fall are Football Fridays.
Forget about the crowds.
We start early and go all day. Get everything you need on Pregame Friday. Brought to you by MyBookie and Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, Emmitt Smith wants to introduce you to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in biologic treatment for pain. I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself. No medications, no surgeries, no downtime.
If you have pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about how you can get lasting relief with biologic treatments that can repair and restore damaged tissue.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain. Play golf without pain, walk upstairs without pain, play with your kids and grandkids without pain, get back on your job without pain, live your life pain-free. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Calling all golfers, have I got a deal for you. Monday, October 17th, come out to the prestigious Ponte Vedra Inn & Club's Ocean Course for the Epic Cure Golf Classic, benefiting the #1 agency for feeding Northeast Florida. It's a 1 p.m. shotgun start, 18 holes, followed by dinner buffet and an awards banquet, and it benefits more than 2,000 local families per week. It's Monday, October 17th, fast approaching, so if you could help others less fortunate, go to birdies.com, Epic Cure Golf, call David San Juan, 233-4077.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
Mad Dad's is gearing up for our 14th annual motorcycle ride on September 24th. The ride is in support of victims that have died in a violent crime. The ride will begin at Harley-Davidson at I-95 in Bay Meadows, zigzag through the city where murders and shootings have occurred. It will end at Edgewood and London. We will go through Arlington to the east side, north side, Paxton, west side, Lackawanna, and end at Edgewood and Lenox. There will be a celebration at the end of the ride for families who have had a loved one die from a violent nature. The ride will begin at 11 a.m. We're asking everyone to stand out and give us a shout out. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadJacksonville.com.
Josh Scobie here to tell you about Eastern Roofing Company. Are you in the process of selling your home and are being required by home inspectors or an insurance company to replace your roof? The team at Eastern Roofing is here to get the job done. They can get your roof done fast with no money paid until the sale of your home. Don't miss out on a sale because of your problems with your roof. Call Eastern Roofing today at 775-ROOF or visit easternroofing.com. Eastern Roofing Company. Service with integrity.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, it's Prosser here. How'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? It's time to call Loan Pronto because your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get now. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off all those credit cards, consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little, it's offset by your current credit card rate going to zero. And when rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. So don't wait. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 904-999-1508. Call Loan Pronto at 999-1508. That's 999-1508. Equal housing lender, MLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL, 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. The Jaguars and the Eagles, Sunday, 1 o'clock up in Philadelphia. Of course, you'll get the game right here on 1010XL. After the game, we'll have the fifth quarter, where I will be joined by my guy, former Jaguar, Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy, and Leon joins me as well right now on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how we doing?
I'm doing great, doing wonderful. How about yourself, bro?
Leon, we're good, man. Boy, first place 3 weeks in. You and I talked about the Charger game last week on the fifth quarter. Now another big test, Leon, on Sunday as they go take on the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you know what, Hack, it depends on how you look at it. You know, Philadelphia is playing well right now, offensively and defensively. I think Jalen Hurts probably had one of his best games last week. They get through for like 340 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He's got weapons. The running game wasn't as potent as it was like a year ago, but they relied on his arm and his leg and his consistency with the deep ball. And defensively, they got after it. I think they had 9 sacks last week against the Commanders. So they've got a formidable defensive front. It all starts with Fletcher Cox. And then you got Brandon Graham, who brings it off the edge. So it's going to be a tough task. But if you're the Jaguars, you got to say, listen, what's in the name? You know, you're just another team in our way. And I think this has to be their approach. I think that's been their approach all season long. Their motto is, so what, now what? You know, they won a big game on the road against against the Los Angeles Chargers. And they got another formidable task this week against the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. You know, let's lace them up and see what happens.
Leon, it's interesting, man. And you're a perfect person to ask with all the success you had. You were never on a losing team, I don't think, and you're, over a decade in the National Football League. A lot of these Jaguar players, Leon, know nothing but losing, and now all of a sudden you've won a couple of games in a row. And at the end of that Charger game, it looked like they had some confidence, man, had a little swagger to them there at the end. That confidence is certainly building. That's got to help their mindset going into this Philadelphia game on Sunday.
Well, you know what, Hack, the confidence comes from not only the fact that they won the game convincingly, but that confidence it starts in practice. The execution, the attention to details, the doing the right thing starts in practice. And then it's just you executing the game plan that's put together on the offensive, defensive side of the ball. The one thing that I noticed about the Jaguars I haven't seen for a very, very long time, they're always on the attack. That wasn't this team a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. On the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, they're always on the attack. Offensively, they start fast. They get the ball in their playmakers. They protect the ball. They run the ball, and they execute in the red zone. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they stop the run. They make you one-dimensional, and then they put together their blitz packages, 4-man, 5-man, 6-man blitz packages to get after the quarterback and make it uncomfortable. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this since 2017. 2017. I mean, you had an elite a defensive front that got after, and you had an offensive side of the ball that ran the ball and threw respectfully when they had to. So a lot of people want to, the comparisons between the two. I think it's a little too early for that. I think maybe after the midpoint of the season, you can start talking about, does this team remind you of 2017? But it's just refreshing to see this team go out and execute the way they've been executing the last couple of weeks. And we're sitting at 2-1, but quite frankly, we should be 3-0.
Yeah, look, they probably outplayed Washington there. And isn't it funny? You lost to probably the worst team you played. Indianapolis and the Chargers appear to be a lot better than Washington, and those are the two games the Jaguars won. Former Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy, you get him every day on XL Primetime, and he's with us here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, when you look at Trevor Lawrence, he was outstanding against the Chargers. He was pretty much outstanding against the Colts. What is working so right for Trevor over these last two games?
Timing, confidence, getting rid of the ball. I mean, he's getting rid of the ball at a clip at 2.3 seconds. That lets you know in practice there's a point of emphasis and him not holding on to the ball. I think in the first game against the Commanders, I mean, he was holding on to the ball legitimately like 3 to 4 seconds. He was indecisive. He wasn't confident in his throws. I think what Doug Peterson is doing now, he's getting the ball out of his hand. He's having him to make split-second decisions that he wasn't making in game one. He's making it easier for get the ball into your playmakers' hands. Get your ball into Zay Jones' hand. Get your ball into Christian Kirk's hands. Evan Ingram, those type of guys. You got Marvin Jones. Get the ball out in the flat to ATN or get it out to Robertson. Don't hold on to the ball, because when you hold on to the ball, you put yourself in situations where you get sacked, fumble, miscue, interception, and instead of being, first and short, you're in second and third and long situations. I think the Jaguars have done an outstanding job with the last couple of weeks. Well, not only not giving up pressure, but not with penalties, not putting themselves in second and long and third and long situations. Every time they're playing, they're in second and manageable, third and manageable. So now Doug Peterson, he has a multitude of plays that he can call now in those kind of situations. It's hard to make calls for second and 15 or third and 13. Everybody knows you're going to pass, but when you're in second and manageable and you're in third and manageable, it opens up the playbooks, and it opens up the playbook. And I think Doug Peterson has done a masterful job in his play calling over the last couple of weeks.
Leon, I thought it was interesting that Doug Peterson was asked about Trevor Lawrence earlier this week, and he gave credit to the offensive line, a position you certainly know very well. You're the best right tackle that's ever played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And knowing I was going to be talking with you today, I went back and watched about a quarter and a half of Sunday's game and really focused on Jawaan Taylor. Leon, Jawaan Taylor's playing his best football as a Jaguar, and I'm not even sure it's close.
No, it's not even close. He's playing better than his rookie year. I mean, when I saw him his rookie year, I was ready to pass the torch and say, "Hey, listen, are you ready to be the best right tackle in the history of the Jaguars?" And then he had a couple of down years, and now he's going into his contract year, his very last year, where he's going to need one or two things. If he keeps going the way he's going, keep having the success that he's having, one or two things are going to happen. He's going to either sign a long-term deal with the Jaguars, or he's going to go into free agent and make some money. And this is the first time I've said it since Cam Robertson and Jawaan Taylor have been together. They are officially a tandem. Okay, I never earmarked them with that before, but the success that both of them are having, they're a tandem, and they don't get bookend yet. Booking doesn't come until they make a name for themselves in the playoffs, but they are a tackle tandem because both of them have played a very good, very consistent football over the last couple of weeks. I just hope that they continue with the success that they're having.
Leon, whenever I talk to you about your days here in Jacksonville, you're quick to point out a guy in Rich Tilsky who was the right guard next to you and how much he helped you and helped you become the right tackle that you became. Jawan Taylor's got Brandon Scherf next to him. All-pro, former Pro Bowler, Jaguars spent big money. Is it a coincidence that Scherf is there and all of a sudden Taylor's playing his best football, or are those things coinciding with one another?
Well, it could be a little bit of both. It could be a little bit of both. You got to remember, before training camp even started, everybody was talking about Walker Little and how Walker Little was going to beat him out of his job, and Jawan Taylor is going to probably be traded and all that kind of stuff. Listen, you've got your ear to the wall when you're hearing all these whispers about Walker Little and trading and all that kind of stuff. So you want to prove the pundits wrong. And he's going into a contract year where he can make a boatload of money if he keeps playing consistent as he's been playing. And also, when you got a perennial All-Pro next to you, it changes things because certain things won't be tolerated. When you're playing next to a guy who's been there and done that. I was fortunate enough to have that kind of situation for me when I was playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had a guy named Colton Hasselrick who was the All-Pro right guard right next to me, and he probably saved my career. He told me point blank that I needed to play better or he was going to ask for me to be removed. So that kind of changed my whole perspective. It's probably saved my career having a guy be that honest and blunt about my play. So I don't know if Sheriff has been that blunt about Jawan Taylor playing better, but I can tell you this, it's refreshing to see that kid who has all the talent in the world live up to the billing, that he's the second-round billing when he was drafted here 4 years ago.
Couple of more for Leon Searcy. You get him every day on Prime Time. You get him on the fifth quarter, and he's always kind enough to join us here weekly on Hacker After Dark. Leon, final thought on the offense. Boy, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk have combined for 49 catches in 3 games. Clearly, to this point, Leon, those 3 guys have been worth the money.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you've got to give it to Balky. I know a lot of people don't want to say that. There was a movement right before the start of the season. Beginning of the start of the year. And, when you're the general manager of an NFL team, you can't listen to the outside noise. You got to pick the components or compartments that fit your organization the best, whether it be in free agency or whether it be in the draft. And thus far, Balky's decisions that he's made in free agent has panned out. They've done well. Even in the draft. The guys that he picked in the draft over the last couple of years have been guys who have been formidable, guys you can depend on, guys that could possibly be superstars in this league moving forward. So, listen, I was one of the naysayers. I'm not going to apologize, but I can pinpoint when I was wrong. And thus far, with the Jaguars' success that they're having, the hat's got to go out to Trent Baalke and the decisions that he's made over the last couple of years, not only in free agency, but in the draft, because those guys are playing outstanding right now.
Leon, as we wrap up, I think perspective is important for Jaguar fans, even some of us in the Jaguar media. 2 weeks ago, there was no way you thought they were going to win either of these games at the Chargers or at the Eagles. All of a sudden, you go to the Chargers and you just demolish them, and now people are talking about, can they do it again? Second straight week on the road, tough environment in Philadelphia. Doug Peterson makes his return. I think this is a tough putt, Leon, because Jalen Hurts, we're going to see. Matt Ryan wasn't running anywhere. Justin Herbert wasn't running anywhere. Jalen Hurts will tuck that thing down and run against the Jaguar defense, so that's something you got to contend with. And coming off that euphoria of the win in L.A., can they find that again 7 days later when they go to Philadelphia?
Well, you got to do the same thing that you did against the Chargers. You've got to start fast. You've got to control the line of scrimmage. You've got to convert on third downs. You've got to get the ball out your hand into your playmakers. You've got to stay in your rush lanes with a mobile quarterback. You got to put pressure on them. You got to stop the run. You got to establish the run. You got to convert on third downs. Don't put yourself in second and third long situations by penalties or false starts or holdings or miscues like that. The Eagles are a team, but they're beatable. I mean, they're beatable. I mean, this ain't the it's not the 86 Bears. I mean, they can be beat. I mean, if you go in there with the mindset that you're going to take care of business, and they're just another team in the way. I think this team has a shot. If they play the way they played the last couple of weeks, I think this team has a shot to go into Philly and steal one from them.
Leon, final question. You and I will have the fifth quarter on Sunday. Perfect Rack Billiards in Murray Hill will be our location for the fifth quarter broadcast. Are we talking about a win or are we talking about a loss? What's your gut feeling tell you?
My gut feeling tells me Jaguars 27, Eagles 14.
Leon Searcy. Now, it's not September Searcy anymore. This game's in October. Do we have another mindset here?
Well, no. I'm making my prediction. It's still September.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So September Searcy isn't still in full effect.
Well, that would be, boy, if they do that another week and on another road game and beat the Eagles on Sunday, my goodness, what a fifth quarter you and I and Coach Dave Campo will have on Sunday evening. Leon Searcy, you get him every day on XL Primetime, on the fifth quarter every Sunday, and right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. I will see you Sunday night out at Perfect Rack Billiards in Murray Hill.
Sounds good, bro.
Leon Searcy, there he is. He predicted the Jaguars would beat the Chargers. I'll give him credit. Boy, he's going back-to-back. And a 2-touchdown victory at that, 27-14. He has Jacksonville over Philadelphia. We'll head to City of Brotherly Love both tonight and tomorrow night, get some more thoughts from the Eagles side of this ball game, as well as talk a little college ball, a little high school ball coming up here on Hacker After Dark. Week 4 of the National Football League underway. Miami and Cincinnati. About 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Cincinnati a 7-3 lead. Joe Mixon ran it in from about 8 or 9 yards out on the Bengals' first drive. Gave Cincy a touchdown lead. Miami drove it down to the red zone, faltered, and had to settle for a field goal. So right now, Cincinnati 7-3 over Miami. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. We will certainly keep you updated. Jacksonville, as always, we are streaming for your viewing pleasure. Hacker After Dark on Twitter. Just go to @1010XL on Twitter. You'll see the show there until 10 o'clock tonight. Likewise on YouTube, the 1010XL YouTube channel. You'll see Hacker After Dark there until 10 o'clock this evening. Coming up next, end of the world of college football. Boy, a good week of both games in the SEC and the ACC. We'll talk about it next. Hacker After Dark on a Thursday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Things are starting to kind of click for guys.
It's been a long time since we've had this much hope in this city after 3 games.
This group is eager to win. They want to win.
We're confident we can beat anybody we play.
The momentum builds as the Jags fly into Philly. Jaguars, Eagles, Sunday on 1010XL. Proud flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hacker here for my friends at Xfinity. Well, get the speed you need at a great price. It's also the fastest internet on the largest gig speed network. Speaking of gig speed, internet from Xfinity is available to 99% of their footprint. You can also enjoy all your favorite apps. They're all in one place. That's with the Flex 4K streaming box that's free with your Xfinity internet. You can also stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. And Xfinity's internet service brings your entire experience together by connecting other services like XFi, Advanced Security, Xfinity Flex, and more. This is based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds, not available in all areas. Performance may be limited by customers' device configuration. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or do what I did and check out an Xfinity store. today.
Mia O'Brien here. Have you seen the duck around town? No, not just any duck. I'm talking about Duck Duck Rooter. In just 3 years, they've grown into one of the largest plumbing and septic companies in all of Florida. And their hardworking team is based right here in Jacksonville, FLA. From septic tank pump outs, septic inspections, drain field installations, sump pump repair, they do it all. And they are the only master septic contractor on the First Coast. So when you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
Sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death on school campuses and for student athletes. Find out how to get free electrocardiogram heart screenings for all Nassau County school students October 18th through the 21st at whoweplayfor.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
The Amelia Island Charity Golf Tournament and Concert featuring Morgan Evans is Friday, October 21st. It benefits Folds of Honor, and you can sign up at foldsofhonoraigolfevent.org.
The Farm Share Food Giveaway at Greater Church of God by Faith on Old Middleburg Road is Saturday, October 29th from 9 a.m. until all the food is gone. This is a drive-thru only event.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
This fall, get it together with a family feast for the weekend's games from Woody's Barbecue. Hi, Flying Jacko here, and there's no better way to enjoy a football game.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do. Let's eat.
Expert Automotive, Jacksonville's only automotive repair shop, where every car we work on gets a lifetime repair warranty. Never pay for service again once it's fixed. Winter travel is around the corner, and now is the time to get your winterization. Do you still have AC issues? Freon prices are falling, and we can save you money. At Expert Automotive, we service all makes and models. Call 374-3373 today to schedule your appointment. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about exceptional customer service. From the first call to the final inspection, Superior's team provides first-class care with great communication, friendly installers, and quality fence products. There's a reason why Superior is the top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your new fence today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
What is the world's largest freshwater lake? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
Lake Superior has enough water to cover North and South America combined. It is the world's largest freshwater lake.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. This past year has taught us to value the important things: our health, our friends and family, cooking for ourselves, and logo polo shirts. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Royal Pest Services, a local company you can trust. Royal Pest is a certified installer of TAP insulation, which stands for thermal, acoustic, and pest control. Reduce that electric bill by adding pest protection. It's that easy. Online at royalpestservices.com.
The easy way to upgrade your home is new paint from Coastal Painting Services. From exterior to interior, including color guidance and design ideas. Read their reviews, then talk to Chelsea or Joe at CoastalPaintingServicesLLC.com, like I did.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 29, 2005, Chicago White Sox clinched their first division title since 2000 and become just the 10th team in history to be in first place on every day of the season.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yeah, this one bothered me yesterday. Coolio, gone at the age of 59. That movie, Dangerous Minds, 1995, I want to say. Michelle Pfeiffer starred in it. That's really where that song took off. I was in middle school and loved the song, loved the movie, and that one was rough yesterday. May you rest in peace. That was a tough one. Gangsta's Paradise. That was right in our wheelhouse, man. If you were a teenager in the mid to late 1990s, I mean, that was kind of it, right? And I was on the young end of that. I was only like 13, I think, when that song came out, but still resonated with a lot of us. So that was certainly a big, big deal when that came out. The movie was good, and unfortunately we lose Coolio yesterday at the age of 59. Hacker After Dark here on a Thursday in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. Thursday night football going on right now. The Bengals, a 7-3 lead on Miami. About 2.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Miami has the ball, but they are at their own 10-yard line. Again, trailing 7-3. Boy, a good week of college football. Good week. Now, obviously, Miami's off. Florida's going to work on their tan on Sunday against Eastern Washington. But it's a good week in the SEC and the ACC. You got Florida State, Wake Forest, which I think is going to be awesome. By the way, we're going to go to Tallahassee in about a half an hour. Kurt Weiler of the Osceola, that's the Rivals website, covering Florida State athletics. We're going to get him on to get the perspective in the state capitol of this 3-game gauntlet. Look, Florida State goes Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, back to back to back. That is tough. I'll tell you right now, I think Florida State's going to beat Wake Forest, though. Florida State's playing unbelievably well, ranked in the top 25. I wonder where Wake Forest is going to be mentally, losing a double overtime game to Clemson in the fashion they did last week. I just think this sets up well for Florida State. And I think they need to win this one because I think they're going to have a much tougher time against North Carolina State and against Clemson. But you got FSU and Wake on Saturday. NC State plays Clemson Saturday night. College game day will be there. As far as I know, I haven't heard any different, Denmark, that game is still going on. I know South Carolina is playing right now. They moved their game up because Hurricane Ian, who just destroyed Southwest Florida. I got a stepbrother down in Lee County, and my heart just breaks for those people. I mean, family, yes, obviously, but just the entire community down there. But Ian is now a hurricane again, and it's going to look like make landfall around the Charleston area, so I don't know what that would mean for Clemson and NC State, but by all indications, I haven't heard any different, Denmark. Have you?
I have not.
So, again, South Carolina moved their game up. No word yet from Clemson, but I guess no news is good news. But what a game that is Saturday night, potentially, for the ACC Atlantic Division Championship, although, again, Florida State might have something to say about that. And in the SEC, Kentucky Ole Miss at noon, are you kidding me? An 11 a.m. kick in Oxford between the 7th-ranked team in the land and the 14th-ranked team in the land? Absolutely. Inject that into my veins all day, a high noon kick for Kentucky and Ole Miss. You got Alabama going to Arkansas. How will the Razorbacks respond after losing a gut-wrencher to Texas A&M last week, or will Alabama just go in there and roll Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks? Speaking of A&M, they go play Mike Leach in Starkville. Texas A&M, Mississippi State on Saturday. You also got LSU and Auburn. Boy, I remember the days of LSU and Auburn being one of, if not the biggest games in the SEC West. And then Nick Saban arrived at Alabama, and that all kind of ceased. But still, I'll never forget LSU Auburn. Denmark, you were too young to remember this. I remember it was like in the early 90s. It was a Saturday night. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried on the call. Gosh, I love those Saturday night games with Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried. Has 5, has 10, has 12. Just terrific.
So what did Keith Jackson was ABC? What game was his time slot?
It depended. He was usually 3:30. He was usually the national ABC guy. Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried were the Saturday night crew on ESPN. But in the mid to early 90s, I guess, there was a fire, a real like blazing inferno going on. I forget if it was at Auburn. I think it was at Auburn.
I think it was at Auburn because Spurrier made a joke about it.
Yeah.
Later.
So LSU and Auburn are playing on a Saturday night. This is SEC football for you in the early 90s. There's a raging, fiery inferno going in one of the buildings, immediately basically behind the stadium.
I think it was a library.
And they don't have a care in the world, man. They just kept playing. And ESPN, there's smoke all over the place, and who cares? First down, Auburn. It was something. And then Georgia goes to Missouri, and that'll be Hail Caesar for those about to be slaughtered. Can you imagine what Kirby Smart put the Dogs through this week after that lethargic performance against Kent State? Georgia is going to beat Missouri to death on Saturday night. I cannot imagine a scenario where that game is competitive in the fourth quarter. But a good week of SEC football, a good week of ACC football. Again, we'll go to Tallahassee coming up here in about 25 minutes. Kurt Weiler of the Osceola will join us to talk Florida State, Wake Forest. Doug Kyde, Pro Football Focus, at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour to crunch the numbers, man, the analytics, to look at the Jaguars. How are they grading out? To look at the AFC South as well. So we got a lot to do in the 9 o'clock hour. I believe Tua just was intercepted?
Yes, Eli Apple. They tried to take a deep shot at Tyreek Hill, and Eli Apple got it.
All right, so Eli Apple with the pick. Tua is picked off. Cincinnati, the ball, up 7-3 towards the end of the first quarter. They have the ball around their own 40-yard line. Coming up next, no high school football this week because of Ian. So we're actually going to be back with you tomorrow night for a Friday night edition of Hacker After Dark from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Very excited about that. But because there is no high school football and because this happens to fall basically at the midway point, week 6 of the high school football season, let's take a look back on the first 5 weeks. Things that have stood out, surprises, disappointments. Justin Barney, Channel 4, recapping the first half of the high school football season. That's next. Hacker After Dark here on a Thursday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
You know how to pick winners. Do we win? Play 1010XL's Weekly Pick'em. Flip a coin. Brought to you by J. David Tax Law and MyBookie. Win $100 of delicious food from Bellwether. Enter at 1010XL.com.
Attention all current lease owners. Before you turn in your vehicle, come get a free appraisal and equity evaluation at Key Buick GMC. Key can pay off your lease early. Do not wait. Now is the time to go to Key Buick GMC. They are currently buying all makes and models. The market conditions are increasing the value of your vehicle each and every day. So come see what your car is worth. Ask for Derek or Steve. That's Key Buick GMC. We are professional grade. Across the street from Tinseltown, Southside and Gate, or go to KeyBuickGMC.com.
Hey, do you like beer? Yeah! What about great food and lederhosen? Then you're going to love the 3rd Annual Oktoberfest at Kingmaker Brewing in Riverside. Sponsored by 1-to-1 Financial Credit Union. Kingmaker has the only Oktoberfest in Jacksonville that spans 2 whole weekends. Right. September 22nd to October 2nd. That's 10 days of good food, great beer, and amazing local businesses. Learn more or grab VIP tickets at KingmakerBrewing.com. Oktoberfest, September 22nd to October 2nd. Kingmaker in Riverside. Brought to you by Jacksonville's hometown credit union, 1-to-1 Financial. Duncan.
Congratulations to Exit Real Estate Gallery and their continued support of the Jacksonville Jaguars. As a proud partner since 2016, Exit's unwavering commitment to the Jaguars illustrates their commitment to the North Florida community. A trusted local leader in real estate, Exit's footprint spans throughout the region with 7 offices and over 400 realtors to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to sell, buy, or rent local real estate, an Exit agent is always available to assist.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real lasting relief for joint pain. Leon Searcy here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatment with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injuries or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroid, pain meds, and surgeries are the only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore damaged tissues. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone-to-bone arthritis and been told that you need replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for any alternative way to deal with pain. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Don't keep living with that pain. Learn how regenerative medicine can give your life back with no drugs and no surgery. QC Kinetics in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra, 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
Years ago, when Harrell & Harrell was growing, we had a decision to make whether we were going to grow into the state or even beyond. And we decided that we were going to stay here in this community in Northeast Florida. It's staying here and not looking at where's the next place that we can go or how can we get bigger, because bigger is not necessarily better. This is our home. This is where our families are. This is where our friends are. And this is where we're going to stay. Offices, Jacksonville.
Pickett here for Zero Res. Fall's my favorite time of the year. It's cooling down outside. It's perfect weather for having your carpets and tile clean. For September, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $129, and Zero Res will clean a 4th room free. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards, the right way to clean.
The Northeast Florida Safety Council has been keeping Jacksonville safe for 80 years. I'm Carrie Kaufman, the EHS Operations Manager at the Safety Council. Join us December 15th at the Garden Club as we celebrate our anniversary and recognize our achievements in keeping our community safe and healthy. We provide safety services your organization needs to take the worry out of compliance. For more information, including how you can be a sponsor of our 80th celebration, visit nefsc.org.
Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach. If you're looking to sell jewelry, guns, gold, or flatware, Chuck at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn will be happy to make you an offer. He's been around the block once or twice and knows the biz inside and out. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
We're at the halfway point of the high school football season because there is no high school football this week because of Hurricane Ian. Thought it'd be interesting to have Justin Barney on Channel 4 to kind of take a look back at the weeks that have been, a look ahead to the weeks that will come, as we are right now, right smack dab in the middle of the 2022 high school football slate. Here's Justin Barney and my conversation from earlier on here on Hacker After Dark. So since we're going to talk about a lot of games next week, let's kind of do a mid-season review, if you will. We're at basically the halfway point. We are at the halfway point for a lot of schools that are 5 games in already. I look at that District of Doom, District of Death, whatever you want to call it. I look at Creekside losing to Buchholz and then just beating everybody else. What a big win for them against Mandarin last week. Fleming Island getting upset by Oakleaf, and then Oakleaf losing to Tallahassee Childs in a upset to me last Friday night, Justin. What have you made of that district with Creekside, Fleming, Buchholz, Oakleaf, and Bartram?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Bowles Trinity District a few years ago when Ponte Vedra was in there. And you really had so many good teams. You know, if you remember, Ponte Vedra went over to Bowles and hammered Bowles when they were in the same district. So anything can happen in those crazy districts. And I think we're seeing that play out in that district with Buchholz and Creekside and Oakleaf and Bartram and Fleming. Again, as good as Creekside has been, they did lose to Buchholz. As good as Fleming Island has been, they lost to Oakleaf. Those are district losses. So as tough as this district is, you can't afford another district loss if you're one of those teams, Creekside or Fleming Island. And both those teams have tough games on deck coming up whenever those are rescheduled. I know Creekside and Oakleaf are rescheduled for next week. Bartram and Fleming will get that going too. But you can't lose another game in that district because at some point it just becomes a process of mathematics. And in that region, you've only got 4 wild card spots if you don't win that district championship. And just the process of math shows you that a couple good teams in our area in that district are probably not going to make the postseason. So it'd be bad if you're a Creekside team and you finish 8-2 and 7-3, or same goes for Fleming Island. If you finish 8-2 or 7-3 and miss the postseason, it's happened before. It happened to some good Baker County teams. It happened to a good Sandalwood team when you're going 8-2 and missing the playoffs. So there is some precedent for that in the past. And I think it will be the same this year where you have a 7-win team in that district not make the postseason. Unfortunate, but I think that's just how tough that district and that region is.
Couple of more for Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, when you look at Duval County here at the mid-season point, if we focus only on the public schools right now, I guess Ed White and Rains are the 2 public schools in Duval County that jump to mind. Certainly Mandarin was, and then they fall to Creekside last week, but clearly what Ed White and Rains have done so far, very noticeable.
Yeah, and you look at Ed White, their only loss was a 48-40 shootout to Trinity Christian in week 1. They've been on fire ever since then. I saw them play Riverside last week, and the game was not even close. Tavalis Thomas, Devon Patterson, Isaiah Teal, those guys are just absolutely smoking it for Ed White. Very good season for the Commanders as well. And Range, haven't played as many games as some of the other Gateway teams. They had an early season bye and came on the road last week and beat Ocala Trinity Catholic. So Range looks as good as it always does. And really, it's going to come down to that game against Jackson. They're only in a 3-team district this year with Ribault and Jackson. So it will come down to Rains and Jackson, in my opinion, for that district championship. And we all know what Jackson has done this year, 4-1 under Coach Christopher Foy, and really kind of feeling it.
Yeah, Jackson and Rains, what a terrific game that's going to be. If you talk about the private schools, Justin, look, we spend a lot of time on Trinity Christian and Bowles, and good reason. I mean, they're both very good. We mentioned Episcopal having a good year. University Christian and Bishop Kenny. How good are both of those schools this year?
I think UC is probably further along than BK. Those two teams play later in the season, so we'll get a chance to see that. But Bishop Kenny has not played that difficult schedule, so it's tough to say how good they are. They've got a good win against First Coast, nice win against Middleburg as well. But the latter half of the season for Bishop Kenny will be a telltale sign. I think they're a very good team, but you can't really tell how good those teams are until they start getting in and playing those heavyweight teams. So in the second half of the season, they will play Bowles. They will play University Christian. So we'll see how good Bishop Kenny is. And again, Tim Krause has done a marvelous job even starting last year and kind of changing the direction of that program. And David Penland III and University Christian, really kind of a known entity. And I think it all comes down to that Trinity Christian game. They're in the same district. So one of those guys will not be going to the state semifinals. I think it comes down to UC and Trinity for a berth in the state semis, and very good teams. And I think that's the game of the season for both of those guys. UC will definitely see how good it is when it gets to that point. Big win for them last week, 49-13 on the road against Raven Gap up in North Carolina. So I like what I've seen out of them so far. Orrell Gray has just been a one-man wrecking crew for the Christians.
Justin, if you expanded to St. Johns County, look, we spend a lot of time on Bartram, Creekside. Again, good reason. They're both very good. Toccoa Creek's 4-1 in year number 2. And look, you beat Matanzas, you beat Fernandina Beach. Okay, well, they beat Clay last week. And that got my attention, right? A victory over Clay was like, wow, they just beat the Clay Blue Devils. How good is Toccoa Creek there in year number 2?
Very good. You see that, and it reminds me similar to Bartram Trail. Bartram Trail in its first and second year really did not have any period of adjustment. They've started strong and have kind of kept that going ever since then. To Coy Creek, really a similar pattern to Bartram. You struggle a little bit early on, but they did have a good second half of the season. I believe they won 3 of the last 5 last year and kind of have kept that going this season. They have a 12-point loss to Bishop Kenny, a very good Bishop Kenny, 5-0 Bishop Kenny. So they look good, and I think we're going to start seeing it develop and play out. Are they a contender for a district championship? They have Palatka when that game is rescheduled early next week. Coy Creek goes to Palatka. Palatka off to its best start in more than a decade at 4-0. So good early season matchup for them. And Mike Kolakowski and the Toros showing that they're for real. I thought that was their toughest game of the season outside the BK game, to beat Clay and really to beat a perennial program that's, if not in the playoffs, they're contending for a playoff spot. So I thought that was definitely their win of the season for Coy Creek, maybe the win of their program history last week against Clay.
Hey, Justin, as we begin to wrap up here with you, we obviously talk about a lot of the same programs, but I want a feel-good story from you, maybe a team that doesn't get the attention that they probably should here in 2022. Does one or two schools jump out to you that's a very pleasant surprise this year?
Yeah, I think 2 of them. I think 2 of them for different reasons, and we've kind of talked about them before, but Andrew Jackson under Coach Christopher Foy, they started that turnaround last year, 7-4, made the playoffs. But again, if you've not followed football and seen how at the bottom that Jackson was from probably the 2011 season onward, you really can't appreciate what they've done these last 2 years. And again, I say it all the time, they were a homecoming game many weeks of their seasons from 2011 onward. And 0-10 seasons, 1-9 seasons, they switched to a magnet school program. They were not a team they were the bottom of the barrel in Duval County. And the turnaround that they've done in such a short period of time under Coach Christopher Foy has been remarkable. And the same goes for Palatka. Palatka, if you followed Putnam County football, Jim McCool was kind of the guy in Putnam County football. Once he retired, Wilson Edwards took over, and then it's been a stream of guys in Palatka where it's just not been that fun to watch Palatka football. And for whatever reason, they just had not gotten it going. They've cycled through coaches. And Patrick Turner in year 2, he has really gotten this team off to a good start. They are 4-0 for the first time, I believe, since 2003-ish. And that is a long time for Putnam County football to really kind of be on the outs for as many good players down there. The history with St. Augustine, that rivalry there. So I think Jackson and Palatka really my two surprise and really feel-good stories for those areas of town and really what they mean to their communities. Jackson football on Main Street and in Palatka and Putnam County, really 2 of the best stories for me in 2022.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, 30 seconds left. You mentioned a lot of games next week being moved because of Hurricane Ian, a lot of games on Monday, maybe Tuesday. Is there an FHSAA rule that there needs to be a certain number of days in between games? I mean, will teams play Monday night or Tuesday night next week and then play again on Friday night?
I've seen it before, so there is no rule on that. And as long as coaches kind of agree, I don't know if that's the preferable thing to do. I think a Monday Friday is more of the standard arrangement if there are 2 games in a week, or a Monday Saturday or a Tuesday Saturday. But I've seen those before, and I think when it comes to district games, you try and squeeze them in as much as possible. And really kind of fortuitous for the teams who had off this week. They're not really penalized by having to cram in another game next week. So Atlantic Coast, Baldwin, Bishop Snyder, Clay, Fort White, Interlochen, Paxton, Stanton, Westside all had this week scheduled off. So those guys not having to really scramble to kind of make things right for a schedule and cramming 2 games into a week.
Yeah, that's the luck of the draw, no question about it. Justin, appreciate the time, man. Know you're busy with all the closings and cancellations. Thank you for joining us, my friend. We'll do it again next week.
Take care, Hap. Thanks.
There you go, Justin Barney of Channel 4. Always appreciate his time. And, yeah, next week's going to be nuts. You're going to have a lot of games on Monday night, a lot of games on Tuesday night, and then a full slate on Friday. In fact, I was talking to one head coach this week. They're going to play 2 games in 72 hours next week. It's just the way it worked out. You got to get these district games in, and they got to be played because they decide who goes to the postseason. Cincinnati 7-3 still over Miami. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter, although Miami is now driving. They'll have the ball in Cincinnati territory coming up with a 1st and 10. 8 minutes to go in the second. Bengals up 7-3 over the Miami Dolphins. Coming up next, we're going to go to Tallahassee. There's a big one for Florida State coming up this Saturday, 3:30 kickoff. Wake Forest comes in. 3-game gauntlet begins for the Noles. They go Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson. I personally think Florida State's going to win the game on Saturday. I like Florida State to knock off Wake Forest. What about Kurt Weiler of the Osceola, the Rivals.com website covering Florida State athletics? We'll get his thoughts on the talk over there in the state capital about the 4-0 Seminoles, about the great start they're off to, and about this game coming up on Saturday. Florida State talk coming up next. Remember, back into the NFL in about 20 minutes with my man Doug Kye, the national NFL writer for Pro Football Focus. It is a Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. 1010XL and 92.5 FM, talking Florida State with you next here on Hacker After Dark.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of Gator Bowl Sports. The TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game and events have been a Jacksonville staple for more than 75 years. We support more than 4,200 local youth annually through Gator Bowl charities. Gator Bowl Sports is a perfect way for local companies and individuals to get involved. We'd love to meet with you and talk about how you can join our team. If you'd like to learn more, contact us at 798-1700, 798-1700.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real lasting relief for joint pain. Leon Searcy here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatment with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injuries or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroid, pain meds, and surgeries are the only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore damaged tissues. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone arthritis and been told that you need replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for any alternative way to deal with pain. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Don't keep living with that pain. Learn how regenerative medicine can give your life back with no drugs and no surgery. QC Kinetics in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra, 904-274-5522. That's QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
Universal Roof and Contracting has been helping our greater Jacksonville and surrounding neighbors recover from severe weather since 1993. Please be safe during the storm and make sure you're prepared. For any roofing needs, please call today, 855-ROOF-HELP, or go to universalroof.com. They're here to help. That's 855-ROOF-HELP or universalroof.com. License number CCC 1230747, CBC 1258484.
Perfect Rack Billiards in Murray Hill is your spot to be for all your football needs. Full liquor bar, 8 pool tables, darts, and shuffleboard. Weekly specials every day of the week from 60-cent wings to seltzer Saturdays, along with wing and pitcher specials on Sunday, and tons of great draft choices daily. There isn't a better place to play pool, have a beer, and just kick back. Half-price apps from 9 to close weekdays. Perfect Rack Billiards on Edgewood and Murray Hill. The best place in Jacks to watch sports.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Now that football season is kicking off, you want to be watching the games, not working in the yard. Well, I have some good news for you. Hiring Peninsular Pest Control to manage your lawn care issues will probably end up costing you less than driving to the store, the cost of the materials, and most of all, your valuable time. So pass the ball to Peninsular this football season and go online to crittergetter.com to schedule a free inspection. Remember, Peninsular is your critter getter.
Hey Gator Nation, Joe C. here. We'll be live at the T-Mobile store in the Ogg off US 1 and 312 this Tuesday with a chance to win tickets to the Gator home game against the LSU Tigers. It's the T-Mobile Ticket Tour, and we'll be giving away Gator ticket prize packs filled with, of course, tickets, hospitality, parking, $100 in gas, and food provided by our awesome barbecue friends over at Sonny's Barbecue. Come on by and say hello, meet the crew, and put your name in for the Gator Football Game Day prize pack. It's the T-Mobile Ticket Tour with XL Primetime.
Brackish Vodka, part of the Brackish brands, is made right here in Jacksonville. 100% from corn and gluten-free. It's the local answer to Tito's. Brackish Vodka is the proud partner of Growler's Bar at Tailgaters, and we will be pouring free samples of our local vodka, as well as selling merch at each home game. Brackish brands are for those who live life slightly salty. And once you try Brackish Vodka, you'll be slightly salty too. You've never had vodka this smooth. Buy Brackish at any Shores Liquor. See you on game day.
Your time is valuable. Say goodbye to tire shops and waiting rooms. Go Mobile Tires is a mobile tire business that comes to where you live, work, or play. We match anyone's price on tires, and our trained technicians mount and balance tires, program TPMS sensors, and repair tires. We provide nitrogen for free. Check us out on the web at gomotires.com or call us at 904-907-0999. On the web at gomotires.com or 904-907-0999.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 29, 2005, Chicago White Sox clinched their first division title since 2000 and become just the 10th team in history to be in first place on every day of the season.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. Boy, there's a big one in Tallahassee coming up this weekend. Wake Forest, Florida State, the undefeated Florida State Seminoles. They are 4-0 for the first time since 2015. Let's go to the state capitol. Kurt Weiler of the Osceola, that is the Rivals.com website covering Florida State. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Kurt, how we doing?
Doing good, all things considered. State's in and obviously a bit of a disarray right now, but doing okay over here right now.
Yeah, it looks like Ian's coming to visit us more than it's going to visit you guys in Tallahassee. We'll see what happens. Florida State, Wake Forest, as of the time we're talking right now, still scheduled for Saturday at 3:30. Kurt, before we talk about that game and what lies ahead for Florida State, boy, let's take a look back from domination over Duquesne to an unbelievable ending against LSU. And man alive, Louisville and BC, 2 games, Kurt, the Noles had to have. They got both of them. It's been a very good month there for the Seminoles in Tallahassee.
Yes, it has. I mean, it's funny. FSU hadn't even won its opener since 2016, and now here they are 4-0. And I think I saw the other day kind of ESPN's strength of record puts them as like kind of the hardest schedule for like an average top 25 team to be at 4-0 of any team in the country so far this season. And here they are. I mean, obviously the real tests are coming up over the next few weeks, but it's been impressive. I mean, we've seen bits of what Florida State could be under Mike Norvell, but I think we've seen an extended stretch here in some challenging moments.
You know, the LSU game was huge, but to me, Kurt, Louisville and Boston College might have been bigger from this standpoint. Florida State fans were getting sick and tired, at least the ones I talked to, of losing to teams that they're better than, that they should beat. And we'll talk about Wake, NC State, Clemson in a moment. Those are a different animal. But Florida State's better than Boston College. They should beat them. Florida State's better than Louisville. they should beat them. And Florida State did that. They took care of business. That was big for Mike Norvell there in the Seminoles.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, coming into the season, LSU was I definitely saw it as an opportunity to kind of make an impact on a national scale. And I think that win registered nationally on a bigger scale more than those Louisville and BC games. But you're right. I think it felt like a bit jumping a rung on the ladder, because really the first rung on the ladder, and one that they've done the last 2 weeks, is kind of, like you said, beating the teams that Florida State used to just like consistently beat. I mean, for the first few years, Louisville was in the ACC. Really, throughout the time since Florida State's been in the ACC with Boston College, yeah, I mean, those have been games that Florida State has won far more than they lost, and that's kind of flipped in the last few years. It's been part of the struggles, and I think even when they've won those games, they've kind of been tight. So, I mean, especially I think there are some major problems with that Boston College team. Obviously, they're pretty banged up at some key spots, but still, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a Florida State team do that to any ACC team, and I think it was another very encouraging sign.
Kurt Weiler of the Osceola, that is the Rivals.com website covering Florida State. Kurt, you follow that team as close as anybody, man. Why are they better this year under Norvell than they were the previous 2 years?
It's a mix of things. I mean, I think number one, when you look at, I mean, what Jordan Travis has become, I mean, it is a huge testament to this coaching staff, to Norvell, to former offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, who's now at Oregon, to new quarterback coach Tony Tokars. Just about, I mean, what they've done with Jordan, kind of instilling confidence in him for a guy who didn't have much when they got there. I mean, he talked pretty candidly about before the 2020 season, he was considering walking away from football, and I think they kind of instilled that confidence in him when they arrived in Tallahassee, and I think he's become, I mean, a full-on good quarterback. I mean, he has had, obviously it was pretty surprising, I think, from what that Louisville game that he made it back for the BC game, and he didn't just make it back, but he had another, I mean, really strong performance. I mean, he has barely run the ball this year and has become a full-on fledged, like, capable pocket quarterback, which is definitely not something I ever thought I would see. I think you also look at, I mean, he hit big in the transfer portal again with a guy like Jared Verse, who was big, and then LSU win, and then got hurt against Louisville and is still kind of working his way back from that. And I think especially, I mean, the receiver room, the transfer portal's been big there. They added 4 guys, and I think the 3 who all played so far, one's out with an injury, have all had their moments. And I mean, Johnny Wilson's a game changer for sure in terms of what he looks like and how he performs at that. And I mean, that has turned a real weakness over the last few years into a major strength. And I think that's been a big deal for them.
Kurt, is Johnny Wilson Kelvin Benjamin? Is he better? Is he not as good? That's kind of what I see when I see him. What's your thought there?
It's interesting. I mean, I think he was a little higher rated. He was a 4-star kid coming out of high school. So, I mean, he definitely was a guy who was viewed highly and never quite lived up to that at Arizona State. Dealt with some injuries. I think, obviously, that program wasn't exactly in a great state for the 2 years he was there either under Herm Edwards. But I think, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, he is definitely, it feels like a type of guy who could have a Kelvin-like good enough season and show enough on tape and show that skill set where he could go get himself drafted pretty high, really off of 1 year of work. I mean, what he does, I was almost a little worried in the preseason that I was hyping him up a little too much, and he just was stacking good days in the preseason from what we saw, and I was a bit worried of like, oh, is he going to live up to this? Because we all hyped him a good bit. And, I mean, he has. That Louisville game, he didn't have a big game against BC, but I think not just what he does, but the attention he now commands, how that opens up for everyone else is a big deal for the offense.
Kurt Weiler of the Osceola here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. The defense, Kurt, to me, also the big story, completely shutting down Boston College, really completely shutting down LSU for a majority of that game, and they stopped Malik Cunningham when they needed to against Louisville. So that Florida State defense, albeit struggles in the past, not so much in 2022.
It is definitely improved. I think this next stretch will tell us a lot. I mean, it's a big test this weekend against Wake, and then a pretty experienced offense, NC State, that hasn't entirely lived up to the hype. And then Clemson remains incredibly talented, and I think we've seen improvements there. I think they are improved in some ways. Obviously, I mean, losing a guy like Jermaine Johnson is not easy, even if he was kind of just a 1-year rental, if you will. But think you've seen some guys step up there. I mean, they've dealt with some injuries. Their number one cornerback, Amarion Cooper, hasn't really even been healthy this year. He's kind of played through. He played against BC. He played against LSU, but I don't really think he's been 100% yet, and I think that affected some things. But I think the linebacker play has been pretty remarkable. Tatum Bethune was a big pickup, and Kalen DeLoach, you've really seen, I think, become the type of player they thought they might be. And then on the defensive line, they've been without a few guys there too, Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse. But the growing depth has been on display. I mean, in that BC game where that Boston College offense is pretty dreadful, but in years past, without kind of two starting linemen, you could have seen problems there for FSU, and the depth is definitely growing across the board.
All right, Kurt, as we get to Saturday and we look ahead, Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson. The schedule makers did not do Florida State a lot of favors. We're going to know about Florida State's season here in the next 2.5 weeks. It begins against Wake Forest on Saturday. You kind of wonder where Wake's going to be mentally, losing a heartbreaker to Clemson, but no question that Wake Forest offense will be the best offense Florida State has seen this year.
Yeah, I think it's especially, the best quarterback wide receiver combination. I think you look at that, the LSU wide receiver group is incredibly talented. I don't think they were entirely kind of on the same page as Jaden Daniels playing their first game together there against FSU in New Orleans. But I think, Sam Hartman, the experienced guy that he's been around the block quite a bit in the ACC, and a really talented receiver room. And it will be a real test. I wouldn't have thought FSU had much of any chance of winning the ACC Atlantic coming into the season. And I'm not saying they have a big chance, but this next 3 weeks will tell the story. If they win, I would say even 2 of these 3 games, which I would have said was pretty unlikely coming into the year, and it'll still be a challenge, but it's possible. They could be right there in the ACC Atlantic.
Yeah, I think, look, I said this last night. If Norvell wins all 3 of these, he's coach of the year nationally. If he wins 2 of these, it's incredible. If he wins 1, that's probably what expectations are. If he doesn't win any, though, that might be a problem. You got to win at least 1 of these next 3, correct?
Yeah, I think that's fair. That I guess is the potential other side of the 4-0 is he's definitely raised expectations a bit. And I think people would have been perfectly content with just 1 of these coming into the year. And I think there will be a segment of the fan base now, fair or not, because it's, again, coming into the year with what we thought about all those teams, 1 would have been fine. But I think now some people will think maybe 2. And it's tough. You don't want to accelerate the timeline, because the timeline this year to me was always 7, maybe 8 wins. And they're comfortably on track for 7. I think 8 is even somewhat realistic. We'll see. This next stretch will, determine if they're able to overachieve that.
Kurt Weiler of the Osceola. Kurt, one of the questions I had as well, look, we know what Cristobal and Napier are doing on the recruiting trail, but they're struggling on the field a little bit in year number 1. As Mike Norvell is undefeated now at 4-0, they just pick up a couple of big commitments last week, including a 4-star, even a 5-star on some websites, that wide receiver in South Florida. How important is the remainder of this season for Norvell to either keep pace or maybe even pull ahead of Napier in Gainesville and Cristobal and Coral Gables in the recruiting battles?
Yeah, I think as long as I think as long as the bottom doesn't kind of fall out, they'll be in good shape there. I think the thing is the MO has always kind of been with Norvell in recruiting. He's well liked. Guys want to play for him. They like him. They like his staff on a lot of phases. But especially, after 2 years where you won a total of 8 games, I think especially with those highly touted kids, they want to see the results. That's more important. They need to see it show up on the field if they're going to kind of take that jump and choose FSU over maybe some other great programs, be it Texas A&M, be it Georgia, be it those in-state schools, Miami and Florida, like you mentioned. And I think as long as the bottom doesn't fall out, I think he'll be in good shape there. He kind of has the proof of concept. And I guess the benefit of the younger guys, or the newer guys, I should say, like Napier and Cristobal, is that they can sell they're still early enough in their tenures. They can sell the future. They can sell the "we need you." They can sell the help us be great. Norvell, now in year 3, has to kind of move past that and show the proof of concept. So I think the timing of it is quite good for him.
All right, Kurt, final question. Kurt Weiler of the Osceola. Does Florida State win on Saturday? What's your thought about Wake Forest?
I'm going to say yes. They opened as like a 1.5-point favorite, and I think that's been bet up to like 7 now. I mean, Vegas, or bettors, I should say, are very in on FSU. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both of the offenses are better than the defenses, but I'm just not going to bet against Jordan Travis right now. I mean, he's continued to impress me, and I think this may be one of a secondary he can exploit. I mean, if it's anything like what we saw last weekend when Wake played Clemson and what DJ Uiagalelei did against Wake Forest, I think Jordan could have a big game, and I'm not going to bet against them right now. They're riding hot.
Yeah, it's been an incredible transformation from where Jordan Travis was, say, 2 or 3 years ago as a quarterback to where he is now. Absolutely night and day. Kurt Weiler, the Osceola Seminole fans, go check out theosceola.com. That is the Rivals website covering Florida State. Kurt, thank you for the time, man. Enjoy the game on Saturday, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate it, Ryan.
He thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Of course.
Find out if he does.
Is there anything else we need to know?
Catch CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco every Friday afternoon on The Franchi Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Waste Management is paying a $5,000 bonus to CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics for jobs in Jacksonville, Green Cove Springs, Callahan, and St. Augustine. Apply online at wm.com/careers.
Equal opportunity employer.
Though no longer little, teens still need a lot of love. Yet teens in foster care have a harder time finding it, as 82% of foster families are home to kids 12 or younger. You can positively impact a teen's life as a foster parent. With help from Family Support Services of North Florida, you provide patience, love, and understanding, and Family Support Services will offer specialized training, resources, and a community of support. Take the next step at foster-now.org. That's foster-now.org.
Drain clearings, new water heaters, garbage disposals, sump pumps, and plumbing fixture installs. Fenwick Home Services does it all, and fast. Only Fenwick has your plumbing needs fixed or installed the same day, or it's free. The area's top home services team will take care of it all. Book online to get savings of up to $200 on select plumbing repairs and installations. Call 904-660-0556 or visit FenwickEasyBook.com.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
This is Hayes Carlyon for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that specializes in pest, termites, mosquito, and rodent prevention. I tell you what, when I got my new home, I had to put on my reporter's hat, find out who really is the best, and it turns out there's no competition. Kingfish provides exceptional service and treats me like a valued customer, not just an account. That's why I wholeheartedly recommend Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Find your why in a rewarding career at the First Coast YMCA. Did you know the Y runs the before and after school programs at every public elementary school in Clay County? It's true, and we can only open up new spots for students when we have enough staff. And that means the Y needs you. The Y is an equal opportunity employer, and we're hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, instructors, and much more. Visit your local Y for more information. Find your passion, find your why, and a career at fcymca.org.
You know the rule. Fall is for football. Yeah, but don't forget golf. The Golf Club of Southampton wants to remind you if football takes up most of your weekend, then tee it up during the week at Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and set up a foursome and see the great shape the course is in right now. When temps start to cool, your golf game should be heating up at Southampton. Check out the great things going on with the tremendous practice area, a course that offers tees for every skill level, and a great group of people to take care of you. It's all happening at Southampton.
Pickett here for Zero Res. Fall is my favorite time of the year. It's cooling down outside. It's perfect weather to get your tile and carpet cleaned. At Zero Res, they're falling back in time. For September only, you get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $129, and they'll clean a 4th room free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. At Zero Res, their mission is simple. Become the most trusted provider in their industry. Give Zero Res a chance to earn your trust. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
If you need cash for that Jags away game road trip, Chuck at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn needs gold flatware jewelry, guitars, and always guns. Let Chuck square you away. He's got cash in hand. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Hicken here. Look for my video weekend updates for what is happening in sports and my take on it. The Weekend with Dan is available on YouTube, the 1010XL Twitter feed, and Instagram account. Brought to you by Millennium Physician Group, your connection to a healthier life.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The first place Jacksonville Jaguars. Boy, we haven't said that in a long time. They're 2-1. They go to play the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday in Philadelphia. Of course, the game will be heard right here on 1010XL Radio. Let's talk a little Jaguars-Eagles. Let's also look around the National Football League with Doug Kyed of Pro Football Focus. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. How are you doing?
Hey, Doug, we're good, man. Appreciate the time. And, look, an early thought from you, a guy that covers the league nationally for PFF. The Jaguars, clearly one of the surprises to this point. What has your thoughts been on Jacksonville now 3 weeks in?
Yeah, they were one of my favorites this offseason to be one of those worst to first type teams. Everyone kept asking, who could be this year's Cincinnati Bengals? And my answer was always the Jacksonville Jaguars, kind of given the caveat that it's unlikely. Teams usually don't go from the bottom of the NFL to being playoff contenders or being Super Bowl contenders the way that the Cincinnati Bengals did last season. But you could just see the path with the Jaguars this offseason. They had the quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who everyone expected to take a jump. They brought in the new head coach who would bring so much more stability than Urban Meyer. They spent a ton in free agency, and obviously a lot of people question how they spent that money, but it was also very clear that they upgraded their roster. They had a lot of good young players on their team. So I would say that, maybe it's a little bit surprising they've started as well as they have. But they were one of my popular choices to take a big leap this year.
Doug Peterson sat out last year, and let's be honest, it did not end well for him in Philadelphia there in 2020, Doug. And my goodness, he picks up right where he, left off in Philly when they were winning all those games in NFC East championships, playoff appearances. He comes into Jacksonville 3 weeks in, and they have just put a hurting on Indianapolis and the Chargers in the last 2 games. What do you think Doug Peterson has brought to this team, and why do you feel he's been so successful so early here in Jacksonville?
Like I said, I think he does bring stability. I think that they needed that after the Urban Meyer experiment did not go well. And, I think that the Eagles basically had to make a choice there. At the end of the 2020 season, they had to blame someone for the shortcomings that year, and it wound up being Doug Peterson. But I think that, you've kind of gone on to see how Carson Wentz has fared with the Indianapolis Colts and now with the Washington Commanders. And, there was a lot of blame to go around for how that 2020 season went for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I think that he's really good with young quarterbacks. So I think that certainly helped with Trevor Lawrence, and he certainly utilized their playmakers really well. One of those guys that a lot of people question how much money they gave Christian Kirk this offseason. And Christian Kirk has been fantastic for Jacksonville so far. So I think that's one thing that he does. He just utilizes players really well. And, him being able to groom Trevor Lawrence is really invaluable for Jacksonville.
Doug Codd, ProFootballFocus.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Doug, speaking of Trevor Lawrence, it is so much more apparent now even than it was a few months ago. Just what a waste last year was with Urban Meyer and all the nonsense here. I mean, Trevor Lawrence comes in year number 2, new coaching staff, and in the last, I'd say, 10 quarters, Doug, I think he's looked fantastic. He struggled a little bit in the first half against Washington, but good grief. Ever since then, 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and that was a desperation pick at the end of the game in week 1. Your assessment of Trevor and how you see him moving forward this year?
Yeah, I think that I even actually started to question, after that first half against the Commanders, all right, when are we going to see the Trevor Lawrence that everyone promised coming out of Clemson? And then, as you mentioned, over the last 10 quarters, we've really seen it. We've got him down for 3 big-time throws over the last 2 weeks, only 2 turnover-worthy plays. He's been one of our highest-graded quarterbacks over the last 2 weeks. He's being smart with the ball. They're not throwing it downfield very much. He's really working kind of in the middle of the field and the slot with Christian Kirk a lot. I think that's a good way to kind of build up the rest of his skills before they start taking too many chances, before he starts throwing outside the numbers too much, before he starts throwing downfield a little bit too much. So I think that's one of the big things is that he's just been really smart with the ball. He hasn't been taking too many chances, and that's really paid off, obviously, over the last 2 weeks for Jacksonville.
Doug, I can't tell you how refreshing it is covering the Jaguars now we've been the flagship station for 8 years, but I've been covering them in the media for 20 years, and year after year after year, particularly in the last decade, they go out and they sign free agents in the offseason, and they don't pan out. Very, very few of them have panned out. 3 weeks in, you mentioned Christian Kirk. I'll throw Zay Jones and Evan Ingram in there. All the talk was, all right, did they do enough to help Trevor? Well, 49 catches, Doug, for those 3 guys in the first 3 weeks. Zay Jones with 19 grabs, Christian Kirk with 18 grabs. I think you throw in a dozen for Evan Ingram. Those 3 guys have really earned their money to this point.
Yeah, they have. And I think that, for some people, Zay Jones might be an even bigger surprise than Christian Kirk has been so far, because everyone knew that Christian Kirk was a productive player in Arizona. People just weren't quite sure that he was worth, $17 million a year. Zay Jones had some really ugly seasons early in his career with Buffalo, where, he had a year, his rookie season, he only caught 29 passes on 69 targets. And I think that obviously a lot of that was the quarterback play there in Buffalo, the offense in general. But Zay Jones really turned things around with Las Vegas last season. I think that Jacksonville clearly saw him as an ascending player, a player who maybe his best years were still in front of him. And, that might be what we're seeing right now, where Zay Jones caught, 52 passes for 607 yards last season. He's well on his way to having another really productive season this year with Jacksonville. And I thought that his game on Sunday against the Chargers was really promising. I mean, he was one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets out there, kind of looked like a security blanket. So, yeah, that is looking like another smart signing.
Doug Codd, ProFootballFocus.com. Doug, in the running game, look, there are all the questions about Etienne and Robinson and the health, right? Etienne coming off Liz Frank, Robinson coming off the Achilles. James Robinson has been nothing short of fantastic 3 weeks in. And I thought Etienne last week against the Chargers began to show what he's capable of, not only in the running game, but there in the passing game as well. What's your thought on the Jaguars' ground attack?
Yeah, it's a really solid 2-headed monster right now. And James Robinson has been the more productive player. He's picking up a lot of yards after contact. But Travis Etienne, he's forcing a lot of missed tackles right now, which is something that you definitely want to see from a smaller, shiftier back. And I would even say that, those guys have been really productive so far. And I think that we might start to see Trevor Lawrence, running the ball a little bit more as well. And that would only add to that Jacksonville rushing attack as well. So I think that, it started off really well for them. But I think that once you see Trevor Lawrence start to scramble a little bit more, maybe get some more design runs out of him, then that could be even more effective.
Doug, I want to get into the game on Sunday in Philadelphia, but a quick thought on the defense. Look, we spend so much time talking about Trevor and the guys on offense, but man alive, Mike Caldwell, the D coordinator here in Jacksonville, and his defense, they are playing some football, shutting out Indianapolis, limiting the Chargers there at only 10 points in L.A. What's a thought from you, Doug, on the defense and how they've looked to this point?
And I think that we all knew that Josh Allen was a really good player on the edge for Jacksonville, but it seems like he's taken another pretty significant step forward this season. Already has 16 total pressures over 3 weeks. A lot of quarterback hits, getting to the quarterback, which is really important to finish out there. And I think that he's been great for them. Obviously, Devin Lloyd has really come on strong very early on as a rookie. He's one of our highest graded linebackers as well. He's another guy where, maybe struggled a little bit in week 1 against the Commanders, but he's come on really strong over the last 2 weeks. And I even think that there could be some more upside to that defense as well, because Darius Williams is kind of one of the big defensive additions that they made this season. And he's disappointed a little bit so far this year. So I think that if he can round into shape, if he can start playing better, then that defense could really be even better this year.
Doug Kyed does a terrific job covering the NFL for Pro Football Focus. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, Doug, it's a big one coming up on Sunday. Doug Peterson makes his return to Philadelphia, the undefeated Eagles. And look, Jalen Hurts in that passing game with Brown and Smith and Goddard, the Philadelphia Eagles are really doing some things. But along those lines, Jacksonville is doing some things as well. That should be fun in Philadelphia on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it really should. I mean, the Eagles are another one of those, probably surprising teams for a lot of people around the NFL. But, not to toot my own horn and pat myself on the back too much, because I certainly got a lot of things wrong this offseason. But when I was looking at the NFC East this year, I just couldn't really see a way where the Eagles wouldn't win that division. Maybe they still don't. Maybe the Cowboys round back into shape a little bit more when Dak Prescott's back out there. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts has taken another very significant step forward this year. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And obviously it helps a ton to have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out there at wide receiver for him. They're another team that, I thought had a really, really strong offseason, saw that there was a path for them to be Super Bowl contenders this year, and just took it from all of the offseason moves that they made. So not a major surprise to me that they're off to such a hot start. But, thinking about Jalen Hurts when he was at Alabama, I don't think that anyone would have expected 5-6 years down the road for him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But that just shows, how much work he's put in, how much work the coaches around him have put in with him to make him as good of an overall player as he's been so far this season.
Yeah, Hurts has been fantastic to this point. Doug, you've covered the league for a while, man. How do you feel Doug Peterson will be received in Philadelphia on Sunday?
I mean, I'd certainly cheer him if I was an Eagles fan. I mean, he brought them to Super Bowl glory when no one else could. Like I said before, I think that he kind of got a little bit of an unfair shake. So I'm not really sure. You never know with Philly. I mean, there's the infamous story that they booed Santa Claus. So if they can boo Santa Claus, maybe they could boo Doug Peterson. But I don't know. I mean, I think the reception should be warm for him in Philly.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Again, that game will be heard right here on 1010XL Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Doug Kyed, Pro Football Focus. Doug, what final thoughts? Real quick, I know your ties with New England up there in that part of the country. Mac Jones, obviously being from the city of Jacksonville, he played high school football no more than 10 minutes from where I'm talking to you right now there at Bowles. Looked like he went down with, I guess it's being reported as a high ankle sprain at the very end of that game on Sunday. What is the thought about Mac as far as time that he may miss there for the Patriots?
It's so tough because, with high ankle sprains, the recovery time could be anywhere from 4 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. It matters that he's a quarterback rather than a wide receiver, running back, a guy who moves around a little bit more and has to depend on his agility a little bit more. So it's tough to say. The Patriots could wind up putting him on IR, having him miss those 4 weeks, having Brian Hoyer be the starting quarterback in the meantime. But some of Mac Jones' comments on Monday I thought were kind of interesting. He just kept referring to himself as day-to-day, saying he wanted to get treatment. The first thing that has to be decided is whether he's going to have this tightrope ankle surgery or whether he's just going to use treatment to get through this. That tightrope ankle surgery, that can allow you to come back a little bit sooner, but I think that there's a concrete floor for the amount of time that you're going to miss at that point. Whereas with treatment, if he's feeling better and better and better, maybe he can actually get back on the field a little bit faster, even if he's not at 100%. So I hate to kind of waver on this one, but there's still a lot that's kind of unknown about the situation. It's pretty unfortunate. Didn't have the greatest start to the season for Mac Jones, but he was really making some good throws out there on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously made some mistakes out there as well, but it's tough to lose him after he had such a good rookie season. Disappointed a little bit early this year, but does seem like he'll be out there. He'll be out for a fairly significant amount of time.
Yeah, I certainly root for Mac, obviously, with his ties here to the Jacksonville area. All right, Doug, we got 60 seconds to go. Final question. 3 weeks in, obviously take the Jaguars out because we've obviously talked about them to this point. Big surprise in both a positive and maybe even a negative 3 weeks into the year.
I guess I'll start off with the negative and say the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, they were able to turn things around a little bit there in week 3. They've got a big matchup on Thursday against Miami Dolphins. But, you hear about teams having Super Bowl hangovers, but this one over the first 2 weeks of the season was a little bit more significant than people might have imagined. And, like I said, they were good on Sunday in week 3, but it was a win over the New York Jets. So that doesn't mean as much as a win over the Dolphins certainly would mean for them here in week 4. And as far as a positive surprise goes, I guess I might go with the Miami Dolphins. I think that people expected them to be high-powered with Mike McDaniel as head coach, but Tua Tagovailoa has been much better than I certainly anticipated. And for them to be one of the 2 teams in the NFL that are 3-0 right now is pretty significant. So Mike McDaniel's doing a great job, Tua's doing a great job, and obviously all the pieces that they were able to add around Tua Tagovailoa, similar to what the Jaguars did, similar to what the Philadelphia Eagles did, have really paid off early this season.
Yeah, you start thinking about tiebreaker scenarios and whatnot. You mentioned that game Thursday. If Miami were to beat Cincinnati, Miami goes to 4-0, Cincinnati goes to 1-3. The Bengals would essentially be 4 games behind the Miami Dolphins in tiebreaker scenarios for the AFC playoff picture already, as we're going to have those conversations beginning here in the next month or so. Doug Kyed of Pro Football Focus does a terrific job with that website. You guys know how I feel about PFF. I'm a big, big fan. Doug, thank you for the time. Know you're busy this time of year, man. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely, Ryan. This was fun.
Sometimes no means yes.
No. Yes.
Oh knows.
Oh, yes.
Johnny O knows the Jags like nobody else. Wednesdays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Here's Linda Beaver.
School's in session, and here's today's lesson. Buy any new vehicle from the comfort of your couch with virtual test drives, payment calculators, and home deliveries. Plus, every new car comes with a 20-year, 200,000-mile peace of mind warranty. That means it'll still be under warranty when you can drive. Plus, every purchase allows us to fund teachers' projects the entire school year. Your next assignment, get to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. Your deadline is September 30th. We're here to wow you and our teachers.
Hey Jacksonville, this is Crystal Dial Wilson with Remedy Staffing. If your business is struggling to find employees, you likely know you're not alone. The unprecedented effect of COVID-19 on businesses has left everyone scrambling to find good people. We're proud to say we have helped fill thousands of positions throughout Jacksonville during the pandemic. We're dedicated to bringing great companies and great people together. If your business needs help or if you're looking for a good job, contact us now at remedygoodjobs.com. We want you on our team.
the station that covers the Jaguars day in and day out. WJXL AM and FM, Jacksonville Beach. This is 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, Emmitt Smith wants to introduce you to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in biologic treatment for pain. I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself. No medications, no surgeries, no downtime.
If you have pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about how you can get lasting relief with biologic treatments that can repair and restore damaged tissue.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain. Play golf without pain, walk upstairs without pain, play with your kids and grandkids without pain, get back on your job without pain, live your life pain-free. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.